Hey everyone, it's Paul at the library, and today's program was booked by the Garland County Master Gardeners as part of their virtual Know It to Grow It series. And this time the Master Gardeners have recruited Randy Atkinson, who's the Solid Waste Director for the City of Hot Springs, who's going to speak to you all about the importance of recycling. So as usual with our Master Gardener collaborations, here in a moment I'm going to turn it over to the always thorough Judy Dare right here, who's the chairwoman of the Know It to Grow It committee for the Garland County Master Gardeners, and she's going to share some information with you as well. Before I do that, I have a special announcement to make, and Judy, I believe, will have more to add. But the next Master Gardeners program with the library is on Thursday, April 22nd, which is Earth Day, and it's at 6 p.m., and one lucky viewer will win a membership for them plus a guest of their choice each time they go to Garvin Woodland Gardens. But you must be watching that one live to enter to win it. And we'll have instructions on how you can do that during that program. Again, that's on Earth Day, April 22nd, 6 p.m. And then one other announcement, my friend and coworker Brooke over in the children's department here at the library is having a recycle relay program for kids age 7 through 11, which is this Friday, April 9th. So if you have any kids or grandkids that you want to have participate in that program, you need to register them by going to the library's online calendar, or you can call the library 501-623-4161 and ask for the children's department. So I'm going to turn it over to Judy here, who will then turn it over to Randy Atkinson. And after Mr. Atkinson's presentation here, if you have any questions or comments, I'll of course read those off. So thanks for joining us, Judy.
Hi everyone, happy spring and welcome to the afternoon edition of Know It to Grow It. As Paul said, before we get started, I've got a few Master Gardener announcements to make. We are going to have a special Earth Day program on April 22nd. We did not get to have our Earth Day celebration last year, so virtually we're going to try to make it very special. Regine Skelton with the U.S. Forestry Department will be speaking about a program for a bare root tree giveaway that's going to happen at the Garland County Library the day following the presentation. So that's going to be Friday, April 23rd. She'll have all the information on that. We also have a great speaker who's going to tell us all about the monarch butterfly and the plights that they have and how we can help their journey. So I think we're going to have a really fun presentation, as well as the great door prize that Paul just announced. We will also have special door prizes for Earth Day, so there'll be special goodies in the bag for you all. So that will be the first 3 people who ask a question or comment, just like always, and they can pick up their door prize noon after the day of the presentation. Once again, just like I said, we will have door prizes today, and so please pick them up afternoon tomorrow. We've got a special announcement too. We are having our plant sale this year. We were not allowed to have our plant sale last year, and we've been working very hard to get all the plants in beautiful condition for this year's plant sale. The plant sale will happen at the Garland County Fairgrounds on April 24th from 9 to 5 in the barn area. We won't have vendor buildings this year due to the COVID restrictions, but we will have plants, and they are gorgeous. Please remember that you'll need to wear a mask while you're in the buying area, and come see us. We'll have our super soil there, all of our plants, and compost as well. So if you need that, come on down. A special thing that the Garland County Extension Office does for all of us in the county is free soil samples. So if you've never done it, you might want to. If you've been wondering why your tomatoes aren't big and beautiful, get a soil box at the Extension Office, fill it up with dirt, take it down there, and they'll give you analysis of what your soil needs to make it successful. This is a free service, and I always like to tell people about it, especially this time of year. So without further ado, I am proud to introduce Randy Atkinson. He is the Solid Waste Director of the City of Hot Springs. He's going to talk about all things recycling related, and there are 2 special programs this year that we can participate in, and I'll let Randy tell you all about that. Randy has 28 years in municipal government. As the City of Hot Springs Solid Waste Director, he oversees a budget of $7.5 million, 72 employees, operational, residential, commercial, recycling program, and runs a transfer station. He is a very busy man. Prior to Hot Springs, Randy worked as in municipal government in Siloam Springs. He was the public works director there, where he directed crews for streets, solid waste, recycling, maintenance, transportation, and infrastructure crews. Randy has always had big jobs. Randy is a native of El Dorado, where he and his wife of 37 years, Vicki, grew up. They have 3 children, 3 grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter. In Randy's free time, he is an avid deer fisherman, and I don't think you fish for deer hunter, and bass fisherman. So without further ado, let me introduce Randy Atkinson.
Thank you, Judy. Appreciate you having me today. We are going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, recycling. Actually, when I was with the city of El Dorado back in, I guess it was 1994, 95, we started the first recycling program that I was ever involved in. It started from scratch, ground up, and ever since then, I've just been passionate about recycling. And I guess the biggest thing that really hits me about recycling that people don't understand is the more we can recycle and reuse, we reduce what's going into our landfill. And as you stated, I've got a great-granddaughter that'll be 2 in May, and I did a YouTube video through our city program as far as recycling, and actually had my great-granddaughter on it because what concerns me is her being 20 years from now, 25 years from now, when she's getting up to be a grown-up and so forth. I'm worried about landfill space. I mean, we're running out of it, and the more we throw away, the more ground we're using up. And it's unbelievable what people throw away these days, and they don't realize the space they're taking up. I've always told kids when we do recycling programs with different schools in the area, driving to Kansas City, you'll be driving down the interstate and everything's just totally flat. All of a sudden you can look out there and there's this big mountain, and you go, how in the world is that out here in a flat area like it is? Well, that's a landfill, because what they do is they just build in a landfill. You lay out your material, you cover it with some soil and material, you keep rising and rising and rising until you get to a certain point that elevation wise you have to stop. So that's very concerning to me. Now, since I've been at the city of Hot Springs, I came into a heck of a program they already had in place as far as recycling, and I'd like to share all the avenues we have to recycle, the various locations where people can be a part of it, and just try to encourage people today to get into recycling if you're not already, and if you are, we appreciate all you do, and if you're not, we'd love to see you get involved. But we have one location located at Valley and Runyon Street. It's a 24/7, basically. It's what I call a drop-off center. We have containers there, 30 cubic yard containers, and they're well advertised as to what each container holds. We collect at that location. We collect glass. We collect cardboard, which is probably our number one commodity. We collect newspaper. We collect glass, as I said, plastics 1 and 2s, which is a program that I was instructed by when I got here, City Manager David Watkins, to try a pilot program on plastic. So we began collecting 1 and 2s. We also collect phone books, which hopefully are becoming dinosaurs because we're not seeing near the phone books we once did collect over there. We also collect what we call SOP. It's sorted office paper, which consists of anything. It's basically junk mail, magazines, office paper, anything you have like that, you can throw in that container. And I think I mentioned, or if I didn't, newspaper as well, we collect over there. So that's a 24/7 open to the city and county residents. Come through anytime, day or night. It's well lit. We do have a surveillance system set up around it. It's a secure place. And in most cases, people do the right thing. Now, we do have some contamination of people that maybe don't understand recycling, or they're just trying to get rid of their stuff, and they may throw in some containers, but we do the best we can to keep that sorted and cleaned up. Then we have a location located here behind my office at 218 Runyon. It's what we call our recycle center. This is where we bring in our commodities such as newspaper, office paper, and cardboard. And we have a giant baler that we bale and sell the commodities. In this location, you can also bring your e-waste. E-waste is basically anything electronic, TVs, computers, telephones, vacuum cleaners, just anything that's electronic that you don't need to throw in the landfill because it's not going anywhere. We take the computers, the monitors, the TVs, and so forth, and we have an outlet over in Little Rock that we transport to occasionally when we get a full trailer load. And our solid waste district here foots the bill for that program, which is funded through the ADEQ, which is the environmental program of the state of Arkansas. We have another program that is called our Earth Angel program. This is a recycling program for curbside. This way, city residents only can be a part of recycling, but yet they don't have to load their material up and bring down to the drop-off center. We will pick it up. It's basically, we come by your residence about every other week. Would love to see the expansion of the program to where I could do weekly pickup. But at this point right now, it's just every other week. We collect cardboard at curbside. We collect plastics 1 and 2s. We collect newspaper, and we collect aluminum cans. So it's a program that I would love to see grow and get bigger and better. I think I didn't mention at our drop-off center on Valley and Runyon, we also collect aluminum cans as well. But not only those locations and those programs, but there's some other avenues that the cities has. It's really, some people don't necessarily consider it recycling, but it is a major part of recycling. And we have our knockout litter program, which we use community service workers, and they form a litter crew, and I send them out on various streets, city streets around through town, and pick up litter, just trying to keep our town looking clean and looking better. We offer commercial cardboard recycling. This is where if a business calls in, all they have to do is request a cardboard enclosure. We bring it out, we set it up. This is at no charge to the business, and they can throw their cardboard in it. And by throwing cardboard, breaking their boxes down, putting it in the enclosure, it allows them to maybe have a smaller dumpster at their business to throw just trash in, and helps reduce their cost for trash collection. Another program that people may not really see as recycling, but it's our leaf and mulch program. A truck will come by your house. It's like every other week, the same as recycling. You can put it out curbside. You can put out bags of leaves, grass clippings, small branches, and so forth, and set it out on the curb, and the city will come by and collect. You don't have to call it in. If you don't sure what day of the week that we would be by your house, you can easily call our office at 321-6911, and the girls will be more than happy to look up what day your leaf and mulch pickup is. The one program that we have going is called our CAPS program, and it stands for Clean, Attractive Property Service. It's a program that basically 3 out of the 5 days of the week, we're picking up material that can be recycled. We have a truck that is called a knuckle boom truck. It has a long arm with a grabber on it and picks up. On Monday and Thursdays, we pick up brush only. You can cut up your brush 6-foot lengths. and set curbside, and we will pick it up and haul it away. And it's, Judy mentioned previous about the compost giveaway or having at the next event. We have a compost center, and that's where we carry all our leaf and mulch, as well as all our brush that we collect. And then, of course, it's ground up and sits out there and is mixed in with sludge from our wastewater plant and turned into compost. And it's really good material to build your garden with or whatever you're trying to grow. On Wednesdays, we pick up nothing but scrap metal with our CAPS program. And that's, stuff that's not going to deteriorate in a landfill. So we take it and we do turn it into some small amount of money by taking it to TRG, our metal recycler. And then we also have a Adopt a Street program. Now, this is not along the lines of recycling, it's more along the lines of the litter program. But if we have somebody that lives on a street and calls in and says, hey, I want to adopt my street, then all they have to do is fill out some paperwork, and we'll put up signage recognizing who they are, what organization they're with. And whenever, quarterly, whatever they choose, they call up here and get bags and what we call grabbers to pick their litter up with. We furnish the vest, and they'll go out and patrol their street and help keep their neighborhood clean. So it's a great program. At Christmas time, we have a Christmas tree recycling program. You can bring your Christmas tree and drop it off over here at the drop-off center at Valley and Runyon. And as they build up, we'll either collect and haul out to our compost to be turned in, our compost center to be turned into compost. Or we have quite a few bass fishermen or crappie fishermen come by and get them, and they'll take them and sink them in the lakes because they make really good fish habitat. So all those programs the city provides, trying to encourage people to recycle and to get rid of their material without it having to go into a landfill. So very proud of all the services we add, and basically every one of them are free. So it's a great thing to do for the residents, and it's not just city residents, other than the CAP service and the leaf and mulch and Earth Angel, but our drop-off center can involve Garland County as well if outside the city residents want to recycle. And people ask me all the time, why recycle? Well, recycling conserves our valuable resources. It saves energy. Recycling can create clean air and clean water. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the ads on the on TV in regard to the plastics that are thrown out into the water, let's say in the lakes or the ocean or whatever. Well, they're never going to deteriorate. You're going to have habitat eating it, and it's going to kill the habitat. So it's good for the environment. It can create jobs and can save money. But like I said at the start of the program, the biggest thing it does is save landfill space, and in my opinion is the most important thing in regard to recycling. There's a number of interesting facts about recycling that a lot of times when we do programs with the kids share, and it's just amazing. And actually, when I got into the recycling business, kind of blew me away, I guess you'd say, to realize some of the stats on recycling itself. But interesting fact, Sunday newspaper, it takes 500,000 trees to create a Sunday newspaper. Now, of course, that's basically nationwide, but still 500,000 trees. And if we recycled 1/10 of our newspaper over a year period, you're going to save 25 million trees. Now, you're talking about a tree that, as you well know, takes several years to get up to any size. Well, then you cut it down, where you've lost that resource. Each day, American businesses generate enough paper to circle the entire earth many times. These aren't just made up stats, these are facts. I've Googled and been researching recycling, like Judy mentioned, for 28 years, I guess. And these are true facts. The average American throws away 650 pounds of paper every year. That's just, it's really hard to imagine, but that is the case. The one interesting fact on aluminum cans, aluminum can is so efficient that you can take that can and within 60 days of, say, you've drank your Coca-Cola and you've thrown that can in the recycler and the recycler has gotten his hands on it, it can be melted down and made into a new can and sitting back on the grocery shelf within 60 days. I just found that to be, really crazy. And glass never breaks down. It can be recycled over and over and over and over again. One of the programs that I did in El Dorado back, like I said, probably in 95, 96, we tried something. I've got an old cement mixer from a friend of mine that owned a concrete plant there in El Dorado, and we set the mixer itself up on some stilts, hooked up a gasoline motor to it to where it constantly turned the drum on the concrete machine, and we would dump glass into it. Over time, slow process, but over time that glass will turn to sand. So we would take that sand then in our street department, and we could take it out and use it to be part of the fill material to put in potholes. We'd fill it up with basically glass up to a certain point and then top it out with asphalt and utilize glass in that perspective. But then there are a number of items that can't be recycled. Styrofoam cups, there's just not a market out there for it. And on your plastics, if you'll look on the bottom of let's say a water bottle, you're going to see a little triangle. It's going to have a number in it. It's usually on a water bottle, it's going to be a 1. Now there, you can look at just about on any type plastic, 5-gallon bucket. For instance, it's going to have a triangle, and it's going to have probably a 5 in it. Well, they make anywhere from 3 to 7 numbers in recycling, but there's no avenue for it. There's no place you can get rid of it. So it's basically made up of a different composite of plastic that is not recyclable. There's one that we struggle with over here at a drop-off center, what we call eggshells. This is basically like what, let's say, Zagby salad would come in. You look on the bottom of it, and it actually says a 1 in the triangle. However, it is made up of a different component of plastic that it is not recyclable. I do have a container sitting over there, have it marked, so people bring them up there thinking they can recycle it. We do have the avenue for them to be able to get rid of. So that's just a few interesting facts that I've learned over the years as far as what happens to recycled material. As I mentioned earlier, cardboard is probably our biggest commodity that we ship out of here on a weekly basis for sure. Newspapers is getting to be a kind of a thing of the past, like phone books. Of course, you can go online or whatever to read a newspaper now, and there's just not as many being printed and not as many people actually buying or having a subscription to the newspaper. So it's something that I can't stress enough to people. How much you can save the environment on doing the right thing and recycling. Last year in 2020, from all these programs that I mentioned, from our CAPS program to our leaf and mulch to our drop-off centers over here to our Earth Angel program, we actually collected 4,575 tons of material, whether it was something we could actually turn around and sell, or if it was brush, or if it was leaves, whatever, and we turned it into compost, but we kept it out of the landfill. just like electronics. They'll never deteriorate. You bury them in the ground and they'll be there forever. We actually had a landfill in El Dorado when I was back there as I guess I was in college working for the county at the time, and it was a county city landfill. We literally went out and dug up a hole in the landfill and found a newspaper that had been buried there, if I remember correctly, 8 to 10 years. And you could literally still read what the newspaper said. It's laying in that ground, it's sealed off from air, it'll never deteriorate. So, like I said, the biggest heartburn I have, and that it just stresses me out, I guess, maybe not the right word, but concerns me the most on recycling and not recycling is using up our landfill space. So just please, folks, I'd love to see people get more involved. And as Judy mentioned, we do have 2 special events that'll be coming up. The one we do every year, which we didn't do last year due to the virus, but it's called our Spring Fling event. It's an event the city sponsors. We do all the work, and all I say sponsors, we do all the work. Our solid waste district actually foots the bill for it. But what that entails is we set containers that we have 6 districts within the city, and we'll put 2 locations per district. I'll give you an example. One location is out in front of the intermediate school at Lakeside. We have one location at Hot Springs High School. We have a location at the parking lot up just north of the old Majestic. So we have a list of them on our website. You can pull up and find out which one would be the nearest to you. They're open we'll set containers there around 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and we will not shut the event down till roughly around 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. Their containers are there. People can bring any and everything. It's a great time to do your spring cleaning. That's why we call it Spring Fling. You can bring pretty much any and everything to the event. You cannot bring paints or hazardous materials such as chemicals or household sprays or whatever. You cannot bring electronics. We have the avenue to get rid of electronics here, like I said, at 218 Runyon. You cannot bring tires, but basically anything else you can bring and get rid of, clean out that storage room, get rid of that stuff that you've had laying around that you never use and you want to clean up. So that's happening on April the 24th and 25th, which is a Saturday, Sunday. My staff does man it basically from 7 on Saturday to say 5 or so in the evening. And then we'll be back Sunday morning around 7, and we'll start shutting down, like I said, about 3:30. If you bring items that are just too bulky for you to unload, we will have where we can just throw them off on the ground. And we do have our trucks from our CAPS program. We'll come by the different locations and pick up the material and put them in the containers to get disposed of. That's a really great event that the city puts on with the help of the Solid Waste District, and look forward to doing it every year. I think in 2019 we did 271 tons, I believe it was, that we collected in 2 days. When I mentioned you could not collect household hazardous waste, paints or whatever, we do hold 2 events that where you can bring those items. The first one will be May 15th at the Garland County Fairgrounds. We'll be open from 8 to 1. You can bring paints, you can bring chemicals, you can bring fluorescent light bulbs, just about any and everything that's household hazardous waste. We'll also have containers set up out there to where you can bring tires. No rims on the tires, please. And we'll have a trailer set up to collect electronics if need be. We only held the 1 event last year due to the virus, and we held one in October. Normally we have 2 events a year. The first one, like I said, will be May 15th. The second one will be coming around on October the 16th. These are both on Saturdays, and like the hours are 8 to 1. Last year we had a tremendous turnout in October. I think there was 330 41 cars, I believe, came through the gates. Don't remember the total poundage as far as the chemicals and so forth. We contract out with a contractor that collects all the hazardous waste stuff for us, and my staff's out there collecting the tires and the e-waste. But those are two events the city, provides for all the residents. It's not just city residents again; it's basically countywide, and they're just tremendous events that we do utilize. One thing I did overlook a little earlier in talking about recycling, what you can and can't. Cereal boxes. We get a lot of cereal boxes, and it's a different makeup of cardboard, and there is not a market out there for it. Judy asked me a question the other day, what about an old yucky pizza box? We can recycle a pizza box. Just please clean out all the pizza. Get as much of the waste out of it as possible. I understand it's probably going to be greasy, but that's not really a problem. But we can collect pizza boxes. So, but anyway, to kind of just wrap up until we can get into some question and answer session. Why residential and recycling kind of co-mingle with one another? Well, you think about this, the more you take out and put in that container curbside, the less trash you're putting in that bag and putting in your container for my staff to pick up every week for you. In Siloam, before I left there, we had a program called Pay As You Throw, and the more you recycle, the smaller container you have. Unfortunately, here in Hot Springs, we only offer the 96-gallon containers, but we do offer the curbside recycling. So it's really, that's another one of those things that, you do it because it's the right thing to do. It's not really saving you money, but it is saving the environment. And again, I just have a heart for the recycling. I wish people could get into it as much as I do. And there are quite a few people. I've never set a counter over at our drop-off center. I've intended to do that, just have not gotten around to it, to literally find out, the amount of cars that actually come through there in a week's time dropping off stuff. Now I can tell you that when from a Friday afternoon, when staff here at the center, hours of which are 7 to 3:30, that you can bring your e-waste, they leave and then they're back at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. All 3 cardboard containers we have over there are usually slam full and overflow and ready to be dumped, and staff comes in and dumps on Saturday morning, and then they come back and pull all the bins in on Monday and dump. And then, of course, the 3 young men that work up there, then they bale all the material. So again, recycling is just a feel good. It's not a money maker, but it's the right thing to do. And think about your kids, their future in landfill space.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. That was very, very thorough, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we did get several questions emailed to me in advance, and also a few live ones here. And you may have touched on some of these answers at some point, but I'm sure you don't mind
No, not at all.
emphasizing. And real quick, Jennifer, Sarah, and Sandra, you were the first 3 live commenters, so you have won the door prizes that Judy with the Master Gardeners will drop off here at the library in the coming days. So congratulations on that. Let's start with the email questions. What percentage of city households would you say participate in the Earth Angel program, and is it free?
The Earth Angel program is free, and it's really disheartening for me to share this fact, but we basically have 4,200 residents that we collect trash from, and 20% of those actually recycle. It's a free program. All they've got to do is call in our office at, like I said, 321-6911, request a Earth Angel container. It's an 18-gallon container. we'll deliver it to their house. We'll put a calendar in it stating the days that we come by their house and the list of items that we actually collect. So I would love to see that program step up and increase.
And then I had a follow-up question. What percentage of households would you say recycle overall? You say about 20%?
20% citywide. I mean, and that's all the stat I have to go by.
What would you say is the most challenging type of material to get people to recycle?
Actually, it's not so much challenging to get them to do it, it's get them to do it correctly, and that's plastics, plastics 1 and 2s. It's really sad. On a lot of occasions, we'll look in our number 2 container, which is basically should be like your Tide, your detergent bottles and so forth. We may see PVC pipe thrown in there. We may see little kids swimming pools thrown in there, and the contamination is just it really bothers me that people know better. They can't be that crazy not to realize that there's no number on the bottom of a swimming pool. And if they'll just put it out on the ground next to our containers that we have over at our drop-off center, we'll take care of it. But don't contaminate our plastic that we can actually turn around and do something with.
Would you say recycling pays for itself?
Yes and no. Revenue-wise, my recycling budget for the year is roughly $210,000. In 2020, we generated, I think it was $195,000, so we're $15,000 short as far as the budget itself. But then you take into consideration the amount of material we kept out of the landfill that we did not have to haul and pay a tipping fee on, which is roughly $19.25 per ton. So it offsets itself, but yet the city does have to kick in to cover the recycling budget. But the yes part of it is the offset of keeping it out of the landfill and the cost to the city for that.
I think you touched on this one quite a bit, but why shouldn't you put everything in one bin?
Well, because we're not set up to what that would be called. And back in the day, like I said, when we started, a town just south of El Dorado and across it, it's called a dirty MRF. And you literally, it is so labor intense, you've got to have like an assembly line, because you've got all this material dumped in one container. You've got to dump it out kind of like on a conveyor, and you've got to literally have people there sitting there pulling the different items and throwing it in different bins. So it's sorted. It's not co-mingle, because you can't just co-mingle everything and bail it and sell it.
I'll move on to some Facebook questions now. Jennifer asks, what are the hours we can drop off the e-waste, and are there restrictions on what you will take on e-waste?
On the e-waste, the hours are Monday through Friday from 7 to 3:30, and it's located, like I said, right here behind my office at 218 Runyon Street. There is a sign that points you to just drive right up the concrete ramp, and if the door is down on the building, just honk your horn. The guys will open up and let you drive right in. They'll unload it for you, and then you drive right through the building and drive around out. It's very convenient. Basically, anything electronic we'll take.
Comment from Sarah. Glad to hear about the glass recycling on Runyon. I do Earth Angel, but it doesn't take glass.
That's correct. And that's the reason being is for the safety of my staff. Our recycle trucks are compartmentalized. We collect aluminum cans, newspapers, cardboard, and so forth. Glass, I do not have a compartment for. When you throw a bottle, of course, into something metal, it's going to break. So as far as the safety of my employees, we just do not do glass collection. Now, when I was in Siloam Springs, City of Fayetteville did collect glass. They were rigged up for it and had the cages to put it in, but we've never taken that next step on the glass recycling.
Does scrap metal pickup have to be scheduled?
Yes. They can call in to our CAPS program, which is 321-6921, and schedule it with the young lady there. It'll be on the other end of the phone. It's every Wednesday. They just need to call it in, have it out curbside by 6 a.m. on Wednesday, and we'll pick it up.
Sandra asked, are plastic drinking straws recyclable? And if so, where would they go at the drop-off?
No, there is not a market for the plastic straws. And again, that's kind of a different makeup of plastic, and there's just not a market for it. Recycling is market driven. I mean, that's just a pure fact.
Let's see here. I had an email from Anthony. Let's see. He had a comment. This is good timing because late night host John Oliver just did a big piece on recycling and laid out some details about the plastic industries that Anthony recommends. He has a question. Do you think there's too much emphasis on putting the responsibility and effort of recycling onto the consumer and not enough on the plastic industry themselves?
Oh, that's a huge question. I mean, that's a really good question. As far as industry is concerned, I would have to tend to agree with them. They don't do as good a job. Now, our recycling, our 96-gallon containers, when we get to the point that they just wore out, either got broke wheels on them or the lids, or they're just to the point they're not usable any longer, we do store those up. And once I can get a load consisting of 300 to 400 containers, one of my brokers will take that, and I'm not really sure where she takes them to get rid of, but we do recycle our containers themselves. But as far as the public's concerned, I think they do a much better job than industry, honestly.
Another question from Jennifer. Will Garland County expand its recycling program in the future to include more levels of plastics like number 5 and number 7 and cans from canned goods?
I've discussed with staff looking at what she's referencing, what we call steel cans. The biggest issue I have for not have already trying a pilot program on it is for the fact of what I talked about on pizza boxes. If people would take the time to take let's say a can of barbecue beans and rinse out the can, then yes, we'd be very interested in trying to start up that program. But what would happen, I'm not going to say all, some people would just take the cans and throw them in the container, not being washed out, and you can only imagine the flies, bees, and so forth that are going to collect. So I have not started that program and just been a little leery to even try.
Well, that kind of segues into a final question of my own. Other than the events you had mentioned, are there any other future projects or developments that the public might be interested in knowing about?
No, not that just comes off the top of my head. Now, we do, when you mentioned Garland County recycling, we are partnership with them. That's actually, they take all our glass between us, the city and the county. We haul our glass out to the county landfill, and he has a broker that comes out of Kansas City. So between the two entities, we create enough glass to entice a company to drive all the way down from Kansas City to collect the glass. So that's a partnership we have. We also partner on the plastics. We haul all our plastics 1 and 2s out to Garland County as well, and they bale and then sell the commodity. So we have a great partnership here between the two entities, the county and the city, and we're both very passionate about recycling, and so we try to work together on it.
All right. Well, Mr. Atkinson, thank you for your time. That was a very thorough program, and I'm going to give you an opportunity here to let people know where they can find out any more information and give any final remarks you'd like to share.
Well, I appreciate having me and giving me the opportunity, because like I say, this is just kind of an issue that just really is very dear to my heart. As far as all the city services, the best way to find out about any of them well, there's a number of ways. You go on our Facebook page, of which we just added, I believe it was today, maybe yesterday. You can literally sign up for the Earth Angel program on Facebook now. Submit your info and we'll get you a bin delivered. But the main line to call to ask any questions in regard to any kind of trash collection, commercial, residential, recycling, whatever the case may be, is 321-6911. And I've got a tremendous office staff here that'll be more than happy to help you with it. Or we have the CAPS program that you call the 321-6921. Here at my office in the lobby, we do have brochures as far as the solid waste service guides. It tells about all the programs the city has to offer, what it entails. I've left some with Judy there to have at the library. And on our webpage, our public information department has done an outstanding job of revamping it. And you can basically go on and click on solid waste and pull up our site, and it gives you a good detail of what all takes place within our department.
All right, we appreciate you and everyone that was watching, and anyone that does watch. That this program was recorded, so I encourage everyone to share this link so you have this information about recycling and these resources and locations. And next Master Gardeners program is on Earth Day, the 22nd, 6 p.m. And everyone be safe and have a good week.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.